Hey guys, what's up? It's Baloo. This is vlog number 8, and we're talking about the theory of intellectual and ethical development. I just wanted to touch base a little bit on Art's initial prompt. I thought it was very insightful. He gave some pretty awesome examples of intellectual and ethical development and the schemes that Perry addressed in the Evans text, and I thought those were very insightful tips. And I thought that he he addressed questions that I thought would bring some interesting discussions within the initial prompt. So I look forward to hearing some of you guys' responses in that. So let's go ahead and get started. First and foremost, I just wanted to go ahead and address his initial question: in which element of Perry's scheme do we feel is more often utilized in higher education in regards to dualism, multiplicity, and relativism? I think it's kind of difficult to answer this question, which is why I thought it was a pretty great question to ask in general. Mainly because I think we can see all three of these types of schemes addressed in higher education. For example, dualistic based notions. Most students prefer to have answers kind of, either yes or no, right or wrong, black and white, as opposed to having to search for responses, and everything should have an answer. And I think it's difficult for students who have more multiplistic based tendencies to see how diverse viewpoints and perspectives can be utilized in order to think more independently. And therefore, I think nowadays, I think in the field of higher education now, I think we see more of the multiplistic base aspect of Perry's scheme, and the reason for that being is because it allows more diverse views, according to the Evans text, and because right answers are not yet known yet. More people want students and want to be able to view more options, and they feel that there is no concise right answer. There is essentially a gray area, so to speak, and that there can be views and perspectives, viewpoints can be utilized a little bit better, mainly because it can be assessed further, and therefore responses are more clear cut. It allows students to think more independently. And really like engage more into the information itself. So I think nowadays, and especially in higher education, that we see more of the multiplistic based scheme in Perry's model nowadays, more than the dualistic based approach. However, I feel that dualistic based issues or dualistic elements are also seen, because again, students want to know that there is a right answer to the problems, as opposed to having to assess multiple viewpoints, because in response to not a clear-cut, concise right answer. So that's what I feel. I feel there's more multiplistic basis versus dualistic. However, there seem to be both aspects of Perry's scheme shown in higher education nowadays. That's what I personally feel. And which element do I feel is most difficult to work with? Personally, I would have to say that that it would have to also be the multiplistic based options, because or actually it would have to be, I guess, more of the relativistic. It was kind of difficult to answer this because I think it can be essentially both can be very difficult to assess, and to work with. Again, because especially with a relativistic based option, you're using the evidence and supporting arguments to determine your overall viewpoint and perspective into assessing which answer is correct and which answer is valid. And the problem is there's so many different opinions that can be addressed that it's hard to determine what is valid and what is not. And therefore I think that that's the most difficult aspect, is the transition mainly from multiplistic based ideas and scheme, and the multiplistic based scheme, and the transition into more of a relativistic based approach, in where evidence is supported by arguments that can ultimately be analyzed and addressed, and from there opinions can be made, and then at that point answers can be answers can be resolved and interpreted and analyzed properly. And so I feel that that is the most difficult concept nowadays, especially in the field of higher education, because that's what we want to do, especially with students. And as higher education practitioners, we want to know what we can do to better the needs of our students and the needs within the program, and the needs of those students within the program. However, most students still feel that they want a dualistic based approach. They want a clear cut, concise answer. Why is it that that this works, or why is it that this doesn't work? I just want to give me a clear cut, right, wrong, black white answer, as opposed to more well, it could be this reason and here's why, as opposed, and giving various reasons, various viewpoints, various opinions, but giving support of those evidences why things like that could exist. And so it's difficult because we have to be able to interpret and analyze the development of an assortment, of variety of students. So it's, I think, the most difficult aspect of the schemes of Perry's intellectual and ethical development schemes is the transition from more multiplistic based approaches to more of a relativistic based approach or scheme. So again, let me just kind of reiterate my answers in regards to his first question. What element do I think is in Perry's scheme is proposed to be seen most often in higher education? Again, I think it's multiplistic based mainly, but however, there are still more dualistic base examples too as well, because most students want clear-cut black-white answers. And the second question, what elements do I feel are most difficult to work with? Through Perry schemes, I think it's more of the multiplistic and relativistic sides and the transition between the two. That's, again, my opinion, and hopefully you guys have some examples as to why, or more insightful information. So I look forward to hearing your responses. Thanks, guys.